My name is Lolo Puzzlo, and this is Media Delta. So, this is our first of a trio of special episodes of Media Delta, where normally I kind of put in advance what things we are watching, and kind of, it's kind of like a rhyme and reason to why I normally do things, and usually there's a theme. However, this month I decided to break the mold, or I decided to do something a little bit different, especially since it is now December, and we now are in the holiday season. And I was thinking of advent calendars, and in particular, I was thinking of how in an advent calendar you don't quite know exactly what you're going to get when you open up the little flap. So I was thinking, you know what? How about for a month, I just basically pick, and because especially since we have 3 weeks of Media Delta this month, how about I just say, you know what? I'm picking 3 movies, and I'm not going to say what they are until it comes time to record, or until you need to watch it. But yeah. So our first one that we have up. This is one, actually, I'll go ahead and say what the other choice was, because I did actually give a little bit of a choice. I gave 2 emojis to pick from in my Discord. One, I believe, was a yin-yang symbol, which is what won. And the other was what was the other? I can't remember what the other one I used. It was an alien. So the choice that did not win was They Live.
Damn it.
And because the kind of mini theme that I did not explain what it was John Carpenter. So what did end up winning was Big Trouble in Little China, a 1986, I believe, movie. I actually probably should have that up. That was a John Carpenter movie. Other things we have listened to or watched was The Thing. That was done by them.
Here.
John Carpenter has done a lot of movies over the years. Halloween, Assault on Precinct 13, They Live.
The Escape movies.
Which actually I believe the Escape movie, or Escape from New York?
Escape from New York and Escape from LA, yeah.
Yeah, was the first one, which actually, that movie is why Kurt Russell is the main role in this movie. I say main role in quotes.
Carpenter had
they had a good. This is what, the 4th or 5th movie that he'd worked with Russell on.
Was it the 4th?
They had a really good working relationship.
Technically, I forgot he was in The Thing for some reason.
Yeah, he was the lead in. Yeah, well, no, it's similar to how Tim Burton and Depp sort of gelled together, except this is a very good pairing that I enjoy watching.
But yeah, so this is an interesting movie, because it's kind of hard to explain what it is. Apparently Google describes it as an action fantasy, which I guess technically that's true.
It is.
Yeah, I can buy that.
It's weird to think about it that way, but yeah, that's it. That is what it is.
It's very much urban fantasy shit.
Yeah, it is very much urban fantasy. It is also urban fantasy in a with a, how would you describe,
mystical?
It's mystical, but also it is usually urban fantasy tends to be more European in terms of its base. This very much is Chinese oriented. It's for the most part. I believe there's some other stuff thrown in, but yeah, that is something interesting.
The foundational, this is where the worldview comes from, is based in Chinese folk religion versus the usual urban fantasy of we say everything's true, but Christianity is actually what's the most powerful, and not going to examine that.
Yeah. But yeah, this is an interesting movie, but we will go more into that. Also, with these mystery movies, I had a caveat of no discussion of basically thoughts until the recording, which is right now, which also, as you already heard, I was not the only one who watched this, so please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Axe, and my head is about to explode.
Hi, I'm Carnival, and I once again must remind you, when dealing with magic, go for the source culture first.
Hi, I'm Torpid Typus, and I'm here to tell you that if a wizard gives you booze and claims it's magic, he's probably scamming you.
Yes.
And magic.
So I figure before we kind of go into the group discussion, let's actually just go right into the one-on-one discussions to make it a little bit more interesting, because then we can kind of see where everyone is in their own time of what they think of the movie. But first, let me go ahead and give my thoughts on John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. I love this movie. It's very good. Like the energy that Torpo and Axe brought over to the thing is kind of is maybe not to the extent of that, but this movie, like, there's not a whole lot of movies like it. It's just a fun movie altogether, that it has a lot of good effects. The story's interesting, like the action's very good. It's just a really damn good movie because the acting in it is pretty damn good. Kurt Russell's like the face of the movie, but actually he's not. He is a main character technically. The actual main character, I would argue, like your main protagonist, is Wang Chi, played by Donald Dunn, who is done. Pardon the pun, but he was done very well. This actually has a lot of really kind of a lot of I hate phrasing it like this, but a lot of the Asian actors that you kind of are like, oh, hey, these are like, you probably recognize a lot of the actors in this. Victor Wong, who, if you're like me, unfortunately, recognize him as the grandpa from the Three Ninja movies, plays Egg Shen, or he plays Egg Shen, who is like a bus driver who also understands the magic around the area. He is very good in that. James Hong, who has been in a lot, still even stuff, and I think he's like in his 90s at this point, plays the main villain. Very good at that. Kim Cattrall's in this as the love interest, and she did a pretty damn good job as well, even though she's kind of a pretty stock standard love interest. But yeah, like the other actors, Castor Wong, Daniel Lee, Peter Kwong, the pinnacle of the henchman, Al Leong, is in this movie multiple times. He's actually even in, like, you could argue, one of the final fights, which is very good in this movie. This is just in general an incredibly fun movie. That I really like it. As I mentioned, the action scenes are good. The acting is very good. The soundtrack's pretty good. I believe this is a John Carpenter movie, and I believe he provided the music. Yes, he did. It is good as always. It is just a fantastic John Carpenter movie. I think this is actually at the point in his career where, just a little while after, his movies start to decline a little bit in quality. But this is like peak Carpenter. Like right after this, he did Prince of Darkness and They Live. But then They Live, which is also another one of my favorite movies. But then after that is kind of when his peak kind of ended. And it's just a really fantastic movie. In regards to like where I would put this in terms of like ranking other stuff, I think that this is and I'm probably going to be I don't know how the others feel about this, but granted, that's also the point. I would argue putting this in one, probably 1 to 3 is going to be my range. I think this movie is fantastic, and I think it's just about on the same level as The Thing. If not The Thing, then you're definitely on the level of, say, your Commando and Hardcore Henry and all that. I just think this movie is fantastic. It is just fun. Like, there's probably some stuff that's not exactly maybe might put your nose down or at a little bit in terms of its use of Asian themes, but other than that, I think it is absolutely fantastic. And we'll see if the others also feel about that, like say Torpo, for example. Hello.
Hello.
So, what's your familiarity with this movie?
I have seen it once before.
All right.
Thank you.
So, in that case, since you've seen it once before, what are your thoughts on Big Trouble in Little China?
It's very good. Deep thoughts, I know. But yeah, it's incredibly good. It is one of Carpenter's best for a number of reasons, but I guess one of the biggest is forever that it is essentially taking the piss out of the whole white savior thing. Because ultimately the big breakdown is your boy, the main character, gets stuck in Chinatown after doing a delivery. Him, this incredibly white trucker, and then just all kinds of magic shit goes down, and his buddy Wang starts helping out and taking care of everything and being the most competent person in the room and basically the main character, despite Jack Burton being the point of view character, essentially.
Yeah, that is one thing I do feel like I do appreciate how much they are open to him just eating complete shit too.
Yeah, no, it is 100% Carpenter taking the piss out of the usual white dude saves everyone, even in any sort of setting like this. Because that's the standard in Hollywood. Hollywood is very say ethnocentric.
Yeah.
To the point where even the fucking execs were complaining and had him put in a whole intro to make the main character seem more important, despite him not being in ultimately like even in one of the big final confrontations, shooting the ceiling and getting knocked out.
Yeah, that's really good.
Which, to be fair, he was low key tipsy.
Low key, yes. Yeah. So, is there any specific things you're kind of thinking about this movie?
Any specific things? Well, as I said, the taking the piss out of the whole white savior, white dude's got to save everyone, solve everything kind of deal, because that was and kind of still is the standard. Honestly, it's a huge problem. It is very pervasive, even nowadays. On top of that, I will say this: it doesn't make Jack any worse a character. He is still a very fun character, very affable. Everyone likes him because he's a pretty decent dude. He's just out of his depth.
Yeah, it's not that he's not talented, it's just that he is going into something that he has never had to deal with before.
And has no knowledge of. He's still fun, though. I think those are two things, is like, despite taking the piss out of him, he is still a good character. He's not some sort of like constant butt of the joke or whatever.
Yeah, and because he does get his moments of like competency, it's just also he gets his moments of incompetency.
Yeah, because he does dumb shit and doesn't think ahead, or is just once again out of his depth. But yeah.
Anything else you would want to kind of bring up?
I guess just in general, I think Carpenter thinks a lot more about the race issue than a lot of other directors do or care to. And I appreciate that, because there is a lot of thought that goes into this that is about not trivializing the Chinese actors in what they do.
Yeah. You also got like especially the breadth of actors that you get in this. Like you get a lot of actors that I would imagine probably would be like bit parts in other movies, like really get a chance to shine.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Victor Wong, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, you also have the patron saint of henchmen, Al Young, in this movie as well, where he plays a henchman, but a very good one.
Or like even the dude who seems at first like he's kind of a sleazy lawyer actually gets a lot of time in the sun and does a lot of good, which is what was it, the cousin?
Yeah, like the cousin kind of comes in at the end and is like actually like is really good at what he does.
But yeah, it's a very good movie that has a lot of thought put into it, like a lot more than some people might realize, and is one of the many reasons why I respect Carpenter as much as I do.
Yeah, he is a very good director. So I guess anything else?
No, just good action, good show, good music, all that.
All right.
Also, they do some real fucking dirty shit with the editing in that movie.
Oh, yes.
They do some real dirty shit.
So I guess with that, what is your ranking that you're thinking for this one?
Oh man, so for me, this is one of the finest. So anywhere from 3 to 1, I'd be fine with.
All right, I'll put down
Goodbye.
1 to 3.
I'll miss you.
All right, so let's go ahead and see what does X think about Big Trouble in Little China. Hello.
Between that last time I spoke and now, I somehow managed to bruise my finger.
That's unfortunate.
These things happen. How are you?
Good. What are your thoughts on have you seen Big Trouble in Little China before?
So, considering the fact that I consider the thing the greatest film of all time, and I really love Halloween, you kind of think I'd be a little more Carpenter savvy. And I'm not, because only this year was the year that I first saw They Live. I've never seen the Escape movies, and I think I have vague recollections of Precinct 13, or Assault on Precinct 13. This I actually actively avoided, because it didn't look like it was going to be my kind of film. Just a little too goofy, just a little too off, as it were. But sitting down and watching it, I kind of realized I was missing out, because it's actually pretty good. It not anywhere near as cringe as I thought it would be.
It's something that you see. It's like Big Trouble in Little China by John Carpenter. It's like this can go very south very easily.
But it's funny too, because Carpenter isn't known for being a bad director or doing bad movies. Like, I can't even think of any that I've seen between The Fog, Halloween, The Thing, this, that I would consider a bad movie. Like, he's very consistent. Even if it's just an average film, it's still pretty damn good. And he's probably one of the most consistent directors out there, and writers as well, because the dialogue in his movies tends to be nice. It has this nice snap to it, but it's not like Whedonish. It doesn't have that annoying snark and witticism to it. It's very grounded. It feels very real, even when it's camp. It's just there's a certain sort of feeling to the way he writes characters and the way he directs people that just makes everything fit. Like, it feels natural watching these things. It's a very interesting feeling you get from his films. And this is obviously no different, despite it going completely off the rails in terms of just doofiness. Just the overall story is kind of funny because it's very, I know you made this the little slip earlier, but it is very Big Lebowski. It's a dude who just wants his truck. That's it. That's all that his character wants, and he gets dragged into this ridiculous mystical battle between two sects, and it just kind of sort of spider webs out from there. And it's interesting to see all the stuff happening around the main character, where while his entire goal, his whole myopia is centered on just getting his truck back and getting back on the road. That's all he wants to do. So it's very much, I think it's a much better film than Big Lebowski, honestly. But that's another story for the Coen brothers. But this is some pretty good special effects. The final thing, the most well-known thing about this movie, really looked stupid, and I think that's probably the worst point of the film for me. The dude exploding is probably like one of the weirdest, because especially it kind of comes out of nowhere. But then also they don't really talk on it, so it's like, okay, this happened, we'll just move on. Yeah, there's nothing. It has no impact, funnily enough. And I think the worst part of it is it looks really stupid. You know, like we talked about this during The Thing. There were some moments that looked a little stupid, but they still had a lot of, don't want to sound pretentious, but a bit of gravitas to it. There was a sense of foreboding even in the silliest moments in that movie. Like even how goofy the stomach trap looked. Still, it fit. But this just kind of seemed like they went a little too far to the side that they were going. Like there's a little too much goofiness to it. And it felt like it was more something befitting Roger Rabbit. Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And also, it's a very unsatisfying way to get rid of that character. Because if I remember right, he just gets mad and blows up. And it's stupid.
I think the gist was that basically he was trying to blow up because I think he was trying to take them out with him,
Yeah.
but it didn't work.
Yeah, but even still, like it's very stupid. It's very unsatisfying, and it's just it's a bit of a sore spot on what is an otherwise pretty good movie. And I don't think it's bad enough to overwrite all the other good. It's one scene out of the entire film that's not that great. But I mean, it's Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell's really good, and I'd love to see like more. I want to watch more stuff with him in it because he's always really good at whatever he's doing, and he's enjoyable to watch too. I'm trying to remember some of the other actors. I don't remember everybody. James Hong. I mean, it's James Hong. I don't know what more to say about him. He's a wonderful actor. He's got such a unique and recognizable voice, and even again, no matter how silly his roles are, he still lends this sort of believability, credibility to the characters. And his work as Lo Pan is it's really, really good. He makes that character sort of pop out and seem much more lifelike than I think any other actor could possibly do with that, at least for that specific role. But everybody else I'm kind of unfamiliar with. I don't know. Apparently, Carter Wong, the guy who explodes, was played by someone named Thunder. I'm gonna assume it's like a American Gladiator.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Carter Wong plays Thunder because my brain is stupid. And I've never seen him before, and I probably won't see him after. I think Kim Control. But anyway, I'm mumbling or rambling rather. Yeah. So. Special effects for the most part are pretty good. The costume design is fucking fantastic, especially Lo Pan. Lo Pan has a great wardrobe, and I love it to pieces. Again, the dialogue's very good. The characters all seem to have a very good chemistry with one another. It didn't really feel like there was any particularly bad matchup between the different characters when they interact with each other. I wouldn't say this is one that stands out as a film so much. Like, it's not something that will ever leave a lasting impression on me. It was fun to watch. It was nice to have my expectations broken in a good way, and seeing that it was a much better film than what I was anticipating, I think it obviously helps enhance the experience. And I do think that watching it on my own and having no idea what you had planned definitely does sort of skew my view on it towards kind of the better, because I had no real expectation. And then when I figured out what it was, it's like, okay, let me go back to the expectation I had before. And by that time, the movie had already ingratiated itself to me. I was like, okay, all right, well, I'm here for the ride. Let's do this. I think it's a good film. If I ever got asked to watch again, I definitely would sit down and watch it again.
All right. With that, what ranking are you thinking?
Well, it would be great if I was looking at the Media Delta list and not the Retro Rank Rhapsody list, because they're very different lists. I'm feeling somewhere between 3 and 4.
All right. Where's my hyphen? There it is. 3 and 4. All right.
I'll just hit the minus key.
I mean, my hand is. I couldn't figure out where my hand was. All right. Anyway, with that, that was Axe's take on this movie. Let me try not to hit my microphone. All right. So, Carnival, what is your experience with Big Trouble in Little China?
So watching this for the podcast has been my second time watching it, and I believe the first time was watching it with a mutual friend of the show, Real Slavic Bear. But again, deeply enjoy the movie because it's very much hey, the rest of the world exists. They have their own things, and it's focused on the rest of the world existing and how America has a lot of different subcultures in it.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is actually very refreshing about that. Also, if anything, this movie was intended to be even more Sinocentric, but due to,
Hollywood.
Yeah, that's why Kurt Russell's character even exists in this movie. But anyway, with that, what are your thoughts on Big Trouble in Little China?
I deeply enjoy the film. A good combination of well done martial arts action, a nice, quick, coherent plot that doesn't drag, and just a very enjoyable. Once again, John Carpenter's a good filmmaker, and very even though he is cursed in the box office, he's very much a strong part of pulp culture in general.
Yeah, because it's like this movie didn't do that great in this did not do great at the box office, which is a shame because that happens to pretty much all of his movies.
Yeah,
Uh, with some like some small a handful of exceptions, but yeah, unfortunately, this is one of the ones that did not do that well. It's a real shame.
it's always a shame. But
Um,
like again, a lot of fun. Glad it's very well like I don't know off the top of my head, and I don't didn't have the time to go and directly research how much of like what exactly of just did they make up the name of whatever said god that Lopan worships is not, and it's like learning things about Chinese folk religion is very hard due to the combination of resources not being super available due to both language barrier and hey, uh, CCP isn't super keen on giving those resources away, and also there are a lot of ethnic groups in China that they don't particularly like telling you about. So it's hard to find research, but like it's very much feels like it's a something that was made with research in at least the way storytelling is done.
also on cursory looking, considering I look up Shang or I I'm looking up the god that he worships in this movie, and the first thing that comes up is the villain's wiki. I'm gonna say that's probably not a real god.
Probably not. But again, there's a bunch of things about oh how is it romanticized and there's a lot of stuff. But yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Anyway, is there anything in particular you want to, or some in particular, some things you would want to bring up about this movie?
Let's see. Again, the big thing is like Jack Burton, the character Cut Russell is like as mentioned is only as prominent as he is because of as executive meddling, and it shows because Wong is the main character throughout the plot and is very much centered on they kidnapped my fiance. We gotta go. Hey, I know you owe me 20. I know I owe you $20, but hey, come on, just help me out here. Help me. And that's entirely just more of like this is about him, Wong trying to help his community out instead of you know this white guy who just barrels in and solves everything.
Yeah, that is refreshing. Yeah. Anything else you would want to particularly talk about?
Not really, just because it's like not knowing what others have said, and probably have more things I can say directly more in a group discussion than just in an individual analysis.
All right. Well, in that case, what is your ranking that you're thinking for this movie?
I gotta say, probably between 3 and 5.
3 and 5. Okay. I'm having trouble figuring out where my hand is. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and get everyone together for that group discussion. All right. So now that everyone's together, let's kind of go over some of the kind of big things about, or like the kind of the overarching things. Like say, let's talk about the storytelling for a little bit. So general consensus is that the actual characters in this movie are very good. And just general the theme of the movie, or like the plot and the themes that it has in it is just very good. The diversity of the characters, the just in general the characterization of the characters also very good. Dialogue very good. So, anyone have any specific things they want to bring up about those things?
I like to I'll just bring up the biggest thing that it's just that it definitely is a movie that is we have a viewpoint character, but it's very clear that this character that Jack Burton is the viewpoint, not the main character.
it goes to great lengths to avoid the white savior issue that is a problem in a lot of Hollywood media. Yeah, it's nice. It also helps that he, much like us, is way out of his depth and doesn't quite get what's going on.
Yeah, that is very refreshing. Like this also I like the fact that I feel like especially with Victor Wong's Egg Shen character, I feel it's also pretty good because you usually get a lot of the let's just call it like the grandpa stereotype, especially that like knows of the ancient arts, but usually I am namely looking at the Three Ninjas franchise. They usually get the they usually end up him being like hyper competent, but also or alternatively a complete goofball. That's like more of a like just a complete dumbass. Whereas in this one, it actually has a really good balance in terms of like he is like very knowledgeable of like the magic that's going on, but also he can have fun with it a little bit, which I appreciate that they're able to balance like kind of goofy with also very competent.
Also, this might just be me, but I appreciate that he's not constantly spouting out some sort of like platitudes the entire time and just talks like a goddamn person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
'Cause
it's weird magic shit. I don't expect you to understand this. Just go with me.
Yeah, and like I said in my bit, like I appreciate that it's not a bunch of one-liners. It's not a bunch of like witty dialogue. It's just dialogue. It's people reacting to situations in a way that feels believable as well as entertaining.
Yeah, that is very nice. Yeah,
It's a very basic story that, like I also said in my bit, is very, very akin to. I think this came out later, as I said in my bit. It was The Big Lebowski, where the central character is just a person trying to do a singular thing, and the rest of the world around them is just so chaotic they can't seem to just do that one thing, and so they just sort of get like dragged into this weird conflict that has nothing to do with them, but they also excel at getting through it in their own little way.
yeah, and also like the villain Lopon is also very good.
He's-
And
he just chews the scenery. It's great.
And that's what you get when you get James Wong. He's just a very, very good actor, and he's one of those ones that are just fun to watch in whatever they're doing.
He also will take any job you give him.
yeah,
Look, money's money.
he is still acting when he is. God, I think I looked it up. I think he's like 94. Like he is getting up there. Actually, I am very.
What was his last film?
It's something that hasn't come out yet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's still in shit that's in the works.
James Hong.
That's the wrong one.
He is 93 years old. His IMDb has. Does it actually give a number? Previous roles 451. He is in 3 movies coming up: Rock In, Patsy Lee and the Keepers of the Five Kingdoms, and Give Me My Money. The last thing that he was in was the grandpa in Gremlins: Secret of the Mogwai, which I've never heard of, and this looks bad.
Right, that's right.
It's a show.
That's right.
Fuck.
They got a reboot of Gremlins that's in production or close to release now. But
It's a TV series.
Oh man, I know my friend is gonna make me watch it.
Yeah, but also like he was in
Yeah, 3
Mulan.
movies this year and 4 TV shows.
Yeah, he was a character in Turning Red. So
I mean, I as they say, I appreciate the hustle. This
oh,
dude,
also yeah, he was in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So yeah, he is still getting work, which he does good work. So that makes a lot of sense.
It was also in Turning Red as well, which was also a very good film. Like he's a good actor, and seeing him just get all these roles and just do all this stuff, like it's great because he's just there.
Yeah, and like unfortunately, Victor Wong is no longer with us. Ali Young is still with us. I think he is now. It is great that he is like moved on from henchman to like patron saint of henchmen. Which, if you are forgetting who Ali Young is, I will post a picture of him, and you probably will recognize him instantly. He has a very specific look. It's this guy.
Yeah, it's that dude.
It's Master Betty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the dude from Hard. It's the guy from Die Hard. It's the guy. Oh God, I can't think of like
The
any
dude
particular
who
movies.
always gets fucking destroyed. Yeah.
But yeah,
I only really recognize him from Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
that works. He's also in like Bill and Ted, and also Die Hard, Lethal Weapon. But yes, he was also in the 1990. Okay, I need to look away from this. Anyway, yeah, acting's good, character's good, storytelling's good in this.
Music's also good. Feel the need to mention that.
Speaking of going into the aesthetic, the art, the music, the set design, and all that, everything looks great. This movie just looks really good. Special effects, sans one dude exploding is very good.
Yeah,
There's some real filthy editing in there, but they make it work too.
Yeah, it's like, and even the goofy stuff I feel almost makes it better.
Or like hell, a lot of the acrobatic shit isn't even played as a joke, which is nice. That is a problem that happens a lot.
the fight scenes are a lot of fun,
Yeah. Also chaos, just pure fucking chaos.
but it's an enjoyable chaos. It's not one that like drills into your brain. It looks like everybody's just having fun.
Yeah,
By beating the shit out of each other, yeah.
Exactly.
yeah. It is like, it's also John Carpenter. It's John Carpenter doing the music, and it's very good.
I mean, there's a reason the man inspired an entire fucking genre.
Yep.
Even
Also,
if it was to cut costs.
also, speaking of cutting cost, the general editing in like this movie, outside of some weird special effects, like this is like an hour and a half plus change movie, and I think like it doesn't feel that terribly long.
No, it just constantly moves. There is no downtime.
It's real good for that.
This is just, I think, an incredibly good movie, like an incredibly well-made movie, for what it is. Like, you think that would be complete schlock, but actually, there is a little bit of art, or there is a lot of bit of art that went into this movie. It is good, dumb fun, but also it is very well done, good, dumb fun. That's unfortunately kind of, as I mentioned, I forgot where exactly, but this did not do well at the box office, and kind of had to get revived by cable, I believe. This is one of those movies.
It was a commercial flop. Like a lot of Carpenter, really. It's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Traditionally, the man had a real bad time at the box office.
Yeah.
Also, this movie also was very inspirational for some things in other media. This movie is the reason why Raiden exists as a character in Mortal Kombat. Like, that is not just a hey, this character's similar. No, it has explicitly been said that this movie is the reason why Raiden exists.
I mean, let's be real. He's fucking ripped wholesale from it.
Yeah. Also, I want to say that it's actually funny because I believe there are three characters in this movie that all later became inspirations for Mortal Kombat characters. Because I believe Thunder inspired. Was it Fujin? I believe.
Yeah.
Fujin is Storm.
Well,
Raiden.
no, it was Lightning, Thunder, and Rain were the...
Yeah, and then Rain was it helped, Rain, apparently.
Who started as a joke, like it wasn't a real thing, and then everyone's like, "Yeah, this is great," and they're like, "Okay, we'll put him in."
Yeah, but
I think it started with 2, I believe, and then in 3 Ultimate, I think he was released. Anyway,
yeah, I'm just trying to think. I think there was also some potential, like, this was a role that was like Kurt Russell was kind of the pick, like they wanted, or like John Carpenter wanted Russell in it, but I believe the executives wanted someone else in it.
Well, no, they were wary because even Russell didn't initially want to sign on because he'd been on a string of flops up to that point.
Yeah, because I want to say.
Well, I mean, this was also a flop. So
I mean, yes, but my point is Russell was not in a great place, like even personally, because he was kind of down on it.
Yeah,
But, like down on his just string of failures.
and not to mention before this was The Thing, which famously flopped in the box office. So his connection with that, added to the mix. But I'm glad that he signed on. I'm glad the movie, came out.
It wouldn't be the same without him, but also like it's very obvious him and Carpenter have like a really good working relationship.
Yeah.
I want to because I saw something, and granted, this is IMDb trivia, so who knows how actually accurate it was, but I believe there was a case where Kurt Russell decided to do this movie instead of another. There was a case where, so Kurt Russell had a choice between this movie or being in Highlander, and I kind of feel like he made the better choice. Highlander is a fine movie. I don't think it's as good as this.
Movie.
It's a serviceable fantasy film.
Yes.
The Highlander is fun, but it is not nearly as good or well thought out as this.
I think the Highlander is more fun with age when you realize that it's Clancy Brown, like all the stuff that he has done after that movie. Like it is just, Mr. Krabs is this villain, or what the other umpteen millions things that he has done since then.
See, I was gonna say it's a film about people with funny accents playing the wrong accent.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean Connery, for playing a Egyptian Spaniard with a katana.
Yeah, but that's that, and this is this.
Yeah. But yeah, this is as kind of mentioned. Does anyone else have anything else? Because I was just gonna say this is a very good, very well made movie and a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
And if anyone doesn't have anything else to say, I think we are good to move on to putting this on the list.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then with that, I guess we will go ahead and rank this. So we're going to rank this using our normal 1 to 21 scale, with 1 being absolute mastercraft, really hard to get any better than it already is, to 21, which is not even fun, ironically, to watch. Like, it is just a very not fun experience at all. There's actually a case where it's actually kind of funny because there are 2 pairs essentially of overlapping rankings things. So we're gonna start with the number that actually appeared in everyone's I'm trying to get this into the list, so that is why I'm trying to stall a little bit of time while I think about doing that. Anyway, yeah, there was a common number between all 4 of our rankings. That one being 3. So I feel like 3 is probably the best place to start with this movie. So in 3, you have Dirty Pair, Project Eden, Ghost in the Shell, Across Do You Remember Love, Streets of Fire, and The Road to El Dorado.
I'm feeling Streets of Fire as a comparison.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because I think the thing with Streets of Fire, though, is that Streets of Fire has a lot of it has really good atmosphere and design and all that, especially in just thinking of the music and all that, but also has a kind of dullness to it in a lot of spots.
Yeah, that would be my thing. Is I would definitely see Big Trouble is much better constructed than Big Trouble is much better constructed than Streets of Fire, in my opinion, with a better use of runtime.
Actually, I think a majority of the things that are in 3 actually have a problem of there's some really good things. The things that are in it are very good. It's just that there is a lot of cruft in them.
The closest thing to me, I think, in 3 is the immediate comparison would be Dirty Pair.
Which, yes, that is another, that is a very fun movie.
But I would also say this is more consistent than Dirty Pair.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I can definitely say that 3 is a good place to start, but I think it'd be better putting comparison stuff up in 2.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the stuff. We have a lot of things to compare it to in 2. Say, for example, Aliens, Commando, Hardcore Henry, Pat Labor, The Early Days, and the movie, Secret of NIMH, The Slayers, particularly, the show, Vampire Energy, Bloodlust, and Willy's Wonderland.
I feel like the 2 things that are the best comparisons are Hardcore Henry and Commando.
I was thinking Commando as a comparison because I think Commando in general is it's also another movie that is a lot of dumb fun in it. So if anything, I would argue that I feel like Big Trouble in Little China is a little bit more consistent than Commando.
So consistent is very I already used it, but it is a bit of a nebulous term. But I will say this: the characters, I would say, are what definitely elevates it above either of those movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hardcore Henry, I feel like a lot of that is elevated a lot by its gimmick.
Yeah, Hardcore Henry is a movie with it's extremely good because of technical craft rather than story.
Actually, also in a weird kind of way, I would actually almost also compare this to Willy's Wonderland.
I was about to say, because, like, well, the thing is, I feel like Hardcore Henry's story was a little more ambitious, at least from, like, a starting point. Whereas, again, the Big Trouble in Little China is just about a dude trying to get his truck. And then all this other stuff happens. Whereas Hardcore Henry has this, like, a lot more connected plot that happens right away, so you get those pieces. Whereas with Big Trouble in Little China, it really builds up to it, if that makes any sense. And I would say also Willy's Wonderland too, because of the way that they approach their subject. Like, Willy's Wonderland still tries to play its doofiness very seriously, but it's not too serious, you know, like it knows what it's going for. And Big Trouble in Little China does that too, where the only scene I argue doesn't is the exploding man scene. But other than that, like, it plays everything pretty close to the hilt and doesn't go too far into absurdity with it. It just knows when to pull back for most of the film. I say it's in good company in two.
Yeah. Just for some wondering, I kind of look into the stuff that we have in one. I don't think it's gonna go fully up there. It's like those are, I mean, they're one for a reason. There might be a little bit of things in this movie that kind of kick in too, but two's got some really damn good movies in it. And I feel like it has some very comparative.
See, the thing that keeps me from putting it up into one is that yes, this is very good and influential, but like I don't it's not as genre defying as, say, just the other John Carpenter thing up there.
There's also just some. It's the thing. It's an incredibly nebulous way of saying it, but there's just something about it that doesn't feel like it's a one. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
like,
know how to actually.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know how to say it, but it's like it just doesn't have that like.
Well, one of the key things that you've brought up as a definer for being applicable to one is sort of, in a way, sort of its impact, you know, and its overall viewability across different demographics. And I feel this is a lot more niche than the films in one. I feel like this it's not super niche, but it's not a broadly enjoyable film. And the other thing too about it is it's just like culturally, I know that's a bit far, but like it's not a film that has had that big of. I mean, okay, it is an inspiration for Mortal Kombat characters, so maybe I'm wrong. But I guess but outside okay, let me pull my brain together. So
No, I get what you're saying is that
it inspired those characters, but you wouldn't really know that unless you looked for it. It's not. Raiden is obviously that one character, but at the same time, it's not so widely recognized that you'd make that connection off the bat. Like, when you told me that was the fact, I've played Mortal Kombat, and I played almost every single iteration of it. I didn't know that. So, like, that's kind of what I mean is it doesn't have that same cultural impact as those films up at one.
Yep. The other thing I would say about this that apparently has a much more like relevant to modern thing is that apparently the redesign or the apparently the 90s version of the Mandarin is apparently heavily inspired by Lopan from the Iron Man comics, at least if Wikipedia if Wikipedia is to be believed.
Okay, now that you've given that, it's like, okay, yes, this is correct, but we've got
But also,
that's another thing we got to unpack and we don't have the time for.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, it comes back to, would you be able to make that connection on your own, or would you have to dig for it? And I think on that.
I had to dig for it.
Yeah. And like, unlike Alien and Aliens, which both had big impacts in terms of on not just horror and sci-fi, but in a cultural sense. Game Over, man, is there's really nothing in. I'm not trying to put the movie down, but there's really not much in Big Trouble in Little China that's quotable or all that memorable outside of the silly exploding thing. It's a good film, but like I said, it doesn't leave that kind of impact.
Yeah. I think with that, I think we should just put it at 2. I think that that's 5. Also, the full name of the title is Big Trouble in Little China, not Big Trouble in Little. Okay. Also, there's not a whole lot of content things I need to bring out. This is surprisingly not.
I still would say you got to do the warning for gore just for the explosion.
Oh, okay. The gore I was thinking, but surprisingly for what this movie is, there's not the portrayal. There's not a whole lot of really bad portrayal of like Chinese anything. It's maybe you have some genericized kind of like made up stuff, but other than that, no one's really like brought down because of it. You have some kind of made up stuff, but it's
stuff things that are made up, or like, as I mentioned in the individual segment, China is very big. The modern state of China is bigger than it has been traditionally for most of recorded history, and there are a lot of different ethnic groups where it's like, I'm 90% sure that the God they stated is made up, but I still got 10% where it's like, it could be something that they found a name and a specific spelling that could be very, like, in a very obscure text, and it's like, I can't, like, not say that that isn't possible.
Yeah. It very much feels like it's in good faith.
And I know I'm saying this sort of as an outsiding view, but it doesn't feel like it mocks any of those aspects. It doesn't feel like it's putting these things up there to be the butt of a joke, or even in sort of a I don't know if this is too harsh of a word, but not fetishistic of these aesthetics and aspects. It's more of, trying to fit them into the story organically and make them, representative of those things, rather than just, throwing them because, hey, this is really awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
The term you're looking for is that.
Yes. It doesn't fall into that pitfall, and I think that helps elevate the movie even more because it's very sincere.
Yeah. So, let's see. Is there anything we want to call out in music charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, or art?
I would. I want to say cinematography, but is that where we're putting like set design?
You could argue either art or art. I would probably say art.
Okay, I think the set design needs to be called out for just that's probably the strongest parts of the movie.
Oh yeah, we also didn't forgot to mention that James Hong was like incredibly terrified through some scenes, like when he's going down the escalator.
Because he was in fucking 12-inch lifts.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna fucking fall on the goddamn escalator.
But Hong still pulls it off, and I love him as an actor. He's so much fun when he pops up.
Yeah.
It's because you can't see him shaking.
The white face paint also did not help. Also, I'd argue charm. I would say the music.
Yes. Made with abundant love, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. It is a Carpenter. I would say he doesn't half-ass stuff, but his 90s output can be a little hit or miss. And I can't really think of any nays. Does anyone else think of anything?
Not really, no.
Let me look at the charm list. Where is it? Nays. No. I'm going to say no.
All right. So I guess with that, that is going to do it for Big Trouble in Little China. It is a very, very good movie. So yeah. Before we head out, Axe, is there anything you want to
Sorry, wait, no, shit, fuck you. Sorry,
no.
I had to look away for a sec. Fuck you, music's great. I'm listening. I've been listening to the soundtrack this entire fucking time. I know. I need to mention how good it is. I've been listening to it this entire fucking time, and it's great.
Make the thumbs up bigger, please.
Don't actually do that. It'll break the fucking thing. I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second.
I can't believe we have our first outro break.
Anyway, Axe, is there anything you want to plug?
Yes, the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network and your local SPCA or pet shelter, yeah, whatever. Please adopt them.
All right, Carnival.
Your local bail and mutual aid fund.
Okay, Torpo.
Twitch.tv/Torpotypist and @Torpotypist on Twitter. And for once, with a hint of irony, I would like to plug the soundtrack to this film because it's very fucking good and everyone should listen to it.
Yes. With that, what's coming up? Who knows? You'll find out next time. I don't really have anything else to say. It's going to be another mystery, so who knows?
Ooh.
Thank you all for listening.
Bye.
If you would like to see the list in which we have ranked every single thing we've done for Media Delta, you can go to r3.ldp.life in your browser. If you would like to watch the sister show that determines what could show up on Media Delta, that's Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can watch it live on Twitch at twitch.tv/LoLoToPuzzlo or on YouTube at youtube.ldp.life. If you would like to discuss this episode of others, please join our Discord server by going to discord.ldp.life in your browser, which should give you a link. Thank you again for listening.